You know, remember the very first time you rode a bike downhill,
Oh, yeah. Terrifying.
right? You get that immediate rush of wind,
Yeah.
and like your feet are just flying off the pedals.
Yeah, you feel like an absolute superhero
Mm,
moving at light speed.
exactly. Right up until the moment you realize you don't actually know how the brakes work.
Oh, man, yeah. That is a terrifying moment of sudden clarity because, I mean, speed without control isn't really progress. It's just a crash waiting to happen.
It really is. And that feeling, that exact moment of panic,
Hmm.
is honestly where a massive portion of the tech industry is sitting right now when it comes to artificial intelligence.
Oh, 100%.
We are just flying downhill. We're generating architecture documents, writing boilerplate code, summarizing these dense engineering meetings in seconds. But today, we are going to look at the brakes.
Finally, we really need to.
We really do. We're going to transform how you interact with AI so you aren't just moving fast, but moving fast and remaining completely accountable.
And we actually have a very special foundation for our discussion today because we are officially working for Skill Wanderer for this deep dive,
Yes, we are.
which is awesome because the framework we're going to unpack comes directly from their official learning modules. It's specifically designed for tech professionals trying to, navigate this massive paradigm shift.
That's right. So if you want to follow along or dig deeper into the curriculum we are teaching today, you can find the full course over at their website. It's at dojo.skillhyphen-wanderer.com/courses/a-first-learning-for-tech-careers.
It's a fantastic course.
It is. And the specific lesson we are dissecting today is right there in that learning path. It's called AI as a thinking partner, not a tool. And you can find that specific lesson at dojo.skill-wanderer.com/AI-first-learning-for-tech-careers/lessons/a-hyphen tool.
Yeah. And what's really fantastic about the Skill Wanderer curriculum is that it doesn't force you into just one static way of learning.
Right. People learn differently.
Exactly. It features multiple modalities. So you can engage with the material through video, podcasts, slides, and reading. Literally whatever helps the concepts actually stick for your specific brain.
Which is huge. So let's just jump right into the core thesis of this Skill Wanderer lesson because, it completely flips the script on how we've been implicitly taught to use these tools.
It really does.
The central idea is this. In the AI era, your professional value no longer comes from just producing output.
Right.
Your value comes from understanding enough to direct that work responsibly and explain it with total confidence.
Yeah, it is a fundamental shift in professional identity. Because think about it. If AI can execute the work, if it can write the Python script or draft the project roadmap, you are no longer the executor.
Right. The machine is the executor.
Exactly. You have to step up and become the accountable leader of that work.
And to really grasp why we need this new mindset, we kind of have to look at the trap that, frankly, almost everyone falls into when they first get their hands on a large language model.
Oh, yeah. The classic trap.
It's what the source material calls the trap of the answer machine.
It's the default mode for everyone. You treat the chat window like a search engine on steroids. You ask a question, you get an answer, you copy it, you move on.
Done and done.
Exactly. But let's look at a concrete scenario from the lesson to illustrate why this is so dangerous. Imagine two people, person A and person B, and they are both using AI to help plan a major, 500-person technical conference.
Okay, right. So person A types in, give me a full event schedule for a 500-person developer conference. And the AI spits out this beautiful, fully formatted timeline. 8:00 a.m. registration, 9:04 a.m. keynote, 10:3 breakout sessions.
Looks great on paper.
It looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So person A just copies it, drops it into a Slack channel, and feels incredibly productive. They're probably thinking, wow, I just did 2 hours of logistics work in 10 seconds. I am an absolute genius.
But then we have person B. Now, they ask for the exact same schedule, but when the AI generates it, person B doesn't stop there.
They don't just hit copy.
Right. They don't just accept the output. They start interrogating it. They ask the AI, okay, what assumptions is this schedule depending on? Or why did you place the heavy technical workshops immediately after lunch?
Oh, it's a good question.
Yeah. Or they ask, how are these transition times between conference halls estimated? And, maybe most importantly, where might this timeline fail if our registration system goes down for 20 minutes?
See, it's the difference between actually doing the reading and just like copying someone else's book report.
Yes. Perfect analogy.
Because if you just copy-paste that schedule like person A, you look incredibly organized in the moment. You look like a rock star, but you're incredibly fragile.
You're a house of cards.
Exactly. It's like letting your GPS drive your car blindfolded.
Yeah.
The system knows the route, but it doesn't know there's a massive new pothole that wasn't on the map.
That is a perfect way to put it. Because the moment you hit that pothole, the moment a client or a senior engineer asks a serious follow-up question, the consequences of that answer machine trap become painfully obvious.
Right.
Both person A and person B got a schedule, but only person B built the context required to actually defend it.
So the client says, hey, why is the transition time only 10 minutes when these conference halls are on completely opposite sides of the convention center? And person A is just standing there sweating.
Exactly. Because if your manager asks why a certain technical or logistical decision was made, and your answer basically boils down to, I don't know, the AI generated it, you have just entirely eliminated your own value in that organization.
Yeah, you've outsourced your brain.
Right. AI agents can execute tasks, they can generate options, parse data at light speed, but they do not own accountability. They do not get fired when the client walks away in frustration. You do.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know. The AI did it is a completely unacceptable answer. It is abdicating your responsibility. So if treating AI as this magical answer machine ruins our professional accountability, how do we fix it?
Well,
Like we move from treating it as a tool to treating it like a subordinate that we are actively managing, right?
yes, you nailed it. We transitioned from an executor to a manager. Because good engineering leads don't personally write 100% of the code for their entire team. They delegate.
Sure.
But delegation is not abdication. You still own the deployment.
Okay, but I have to push back here a little bit. Because if I'm listening to this right now, I'm probably thinking, wait a minute. Isn't the entire selling point of AI to save me time?
That is the marketing pitch, yeah.
Right. If I have to sit there and interrogate everything it does, if I have to ask it all these follow-up questions about assumptions and transition times and risks, aren't I just doing the work anyway? Like, why not just write the schedule or the code myself? It feels like we're adding overhead, not removing it.
And that is the ultimate paradox of leadership. Yes, questioning the AI absolutely takes a little longer up front, but it builds what the Skill Wanderer lesson calls reusable judgment.
Reusable judgment. I like that phrase. But what does that actually look like in practice?
Think about it neurologically and professionally. When you optimize only for speed, AI makes you look efficient while quietly hollowing out your expertise.
Oof. Hollowing out your expertise.
Yeah, because you are delivering more outputs, more scripts, more emails, more architectures, but you understand less and less about how they actually work. You are decaying.
Wow.
But when you take the thinking partner approach, when you question the output, inspect the mechanism, and test the assumptions, you are training your own brain.
So you aren't just blindly forwarding what a machine produced.
Yeah.
You're actively absorbing the mechanics of the problem.
Exactly. The process is a bit slower on Tuesday, but you become significantly stronger by Friday. Because the next time you face a similar problem, you have built the intellectual architecture to direct future work. Whether that work is being done by a human junior developer or an AI agent.
So the fundamental mindset shift here is moving from AI gives me answers to AI helps me understand the work behind the answers.
Precisely. Moving from my job is to move fast to my job is to move fast and remain accountable.
Okay, but accountability is incredibly hard when the subordinate you're managing sounds like an absolute genius even when it's lying through its teeth.
Oh, the confident nonsense, yes.
Right. How do we spot the lies? Because these models can sound incredibly convincing even when they are completely spectacularly wrong.
That is a massive vulnerability, especially for technical users who might be using AI to explore, say, a new programming language or a framework they aren't totally familiar with, because a useful-looking block of code is not the same thing as a secure, functional block of code.
Right. And just asking the AI, hey, are you sure this is correct? Is totally useless. It's almost always going to say yes. But why is that? Why can't it just double-check its own work when we ask it to?
Because of how large language models fundamentally operate. They are not databases querying for absolute truth. They are next token predictors.
Okay.
They are just generating the most statistically probable next word based on their training data and your prompt. Furthermore, they suffer from what's called agreement bias.
Agreement bias.
Yeah, they are fine-tuned to be helpful and to align with the user's intent.
I get it. So when I ask, is this correct? I am practically handing it the answer I want. I am triggering its validation weights. The most statistically probable response to a user asking for validation is to provide validation.
Exactly. It inherently thinks it's correct because you implicitly asked it to be. You are trapping it in an echo chamber of its own initial probabilities.
That makes so much sense.
And that is exactly why we need a specific strategy. We have to dissect, then validate. You break the answer apart. You have to understand the claim being made, the mechanism behind how it works, and the assumptions it rests on. Only then can you validate the parts that actually matter.
Okay, but how do I actually break it apart? Like, if I'm staring at 50 lines of Python that I don't fully understand,
Yeah.
what is the crowbar I use to pry this text open and actually see the gears inside?
Well, we have a very specific playbook for this at Skill Wanderer. First, you ask the AI to explain its reasoning step by step. Force it to show its work in plain English.
Okay, that's straightforward.
But here is the truly fascinating move. Command the AI to argue against its own previous answer.
Oh, that is brilliant.
Right.
Because if it's operating on agreement bias and next token prediction, commanding it to attack its own logic forces it to traverse a completely different set of neural pathways, right?
Exactly. You break the agreement bias. You force the model to retrieve weights associated with critique, vulnerability, and counterarguments. So you asked, what is the biggest security flaw in the code you just wrote?
And suddenly it points out a massive SQL injection vulnerability it completely glossed over 2 seconds ago.
Exactly. It flips the script.
It's like playing chess against yourself. You force the board to
Yeah.
flip. What else is in the playbook?
Ask directly, what assumptions does this answer depend on? It might reveal that the deployment script it just wrote assumes you are running a specific deprecated version of a node library, or that the database architecture assumes fewer than 1,000 concurrent users.
Which is terrifying if you have 10,000 users.
Exactly. And finally, ask for sources or the basis for any factual claims. Make it point to the documentation.
So we have our crowbar. We have the questions to pry the output apart. But let's be real. If I do this for every single email I ask AI to draft, or every single reject string I needed to write, I'm going to get fired for moving too slowly. We're right back to the time-saving problem.
Right, you fall into analysis paralysis. To avoid this, the curriculum adapts a classic incident response framework. It's called the 5 whys.
The 5 whys. Now, normally people explain this with the old manufacturing metaphor like a broken conveyor belt. The machine stopped. Why? A belt snapped. Why? It wasn't maintained. Why?
Right, the Toyota method.
Exactly. But let's update that for our audience. In a tech stack, it's more like the server crashed. Why? The API timed out. Why? The database query was incredibly inefficient. Why? We didn't index the new user table. Why? Because the deployment script skipped a step.
You drill down until you hit the root cause.
Exactly. But in the AI era, it doesn't have to be literally the word why 5 times in a row. It is a mix of interrogating the output across several specific dimensions. We use what, why, how, when, or where, and what if.
Okay, walk me through that.
Let's apply this to a complex technical scenario. Imagine you ask an AI to design a system architecture for migrating a legacy database to a cloud-native NoSQL solution.
Okay, that's a massive complex output. If I just take its first answer and deploy it, I'm person A. I'm reckless. Highly reckless.
So I apply the framework. First, I ask what, as in what is actually happening here in plain language. Summarize the data flow for me.
Right. Then you ask why. Why did you choose a document-based NoSQL database instead of a wide column store for this specific data payload? You are surfacing the intent behind the choice.
Then how? How does the proposed caching layer handle data invalidation during high-traffic spikes? I'm forcing it to explain the mechanism, not just the name of the tool it picked.
Exactly. Then you ask when or where. Where are the single points of failure in this architecture? Or when does this specific cloud service become cost prohibitive? You are finding the limits and conditions of the answer.
And finally, what if? What if our read-to-write ratio completely flips next quarter? How does this system handle that? We're testing the assumptions against changing requirements.
And look what happened. By walking through those 5 dimensions, you have completely dissected the architecture. You haven't just generated a shiny diagram. You have built the mental model required to actually lead the engineering team that will build it. It's incredible. But again, doing this for a massive database migration makes total sense. Doing this for a summary of a weekly sync meeting does not.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
Which is why the golden rule is to match your depth to the stakes. We use a simple stakes matrix. If you're dealing with a high-stakes task,
meaning decisions that affect money, system security, compliance, client trust, or public communication.
exactly. For those, your action is to deep dive. Accountability here is critical. So you swing the crowbar, you ask at least 5 real questions across those dimensions, and you verify the answers against official documentation.
Because if that database architecture fails, telling your boss, well, the AI suggested it, it's going to get you walked out of the building.
Precisely. But then you have low-stakes tasks. Rough brainstorming, first drafts of internal updates, generating dummy data for a test environment, low-risk formatting help.
Right.
For these, your action is to skim faster. Speed matters more than full dissection here. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Like, if I'm asking AI to give me 10 bad ideas for a presentation title so I can just get past my writer's block, I don't need to ask it to argue against its own assumptions.
No, that would be a waste of time.
I just need the ideas to spark my own thinking. But if I'm asking it to write a script that touches a production database, yeah, we are doing the full 5 whys audit.
Exactly. The point isn't always ask 5 questions no matter what. The point is to ask enough questions to match the level of professional responsibility involved in the task.
Okay, so we've covered a tremendous amount of ground here. We've talked about the trap of the answer machine, the mindset shift to being an accountable leader, the mechanisms of agreement bias, the dissect and validate crowbar, and matching our interrogation to the stakes.
It's a lot, but it's crucial.
It is. Now, I want to take all of this theory and give you, the listener, a concrete, immediate mission, something you can try the moment this deep dive ends.
We actually have a brilliant microaction designed specifically for this in the Skill Wanderer curriculum.
Oh, perfect. What is it?
The challenge is this. Do not ask AI to finish a whole task for you today. Instead, use it to help you understand a technical concept or process that you currently can only describe vaguely.
Oh, this is a great test of the thinking partner model. So think of something at your job right now. Maybe it's a piece of legacy code that behaves unexpectedly and everyone just ignores it.
Yeah, we all have that code.
Or maybe it's a DevOps concept people throw around in meetings like Kubernetes orchestration that you nod along to, but you couldn't actually map out on a whiteboard if someone asked you to.
Perfect examples. Once you have your vague topic, there is a very specific 4-step process. Step 1 is crucial, and a lot of people skip it. Write down what you think is happening or what you think the concept means before you ask AI anything.
I can guess why that is. If you go straight to the AI, its confident, beautifully formatted answer will completely anchor your thinking. It's the anchoring bias. You'll read it and go, oh yeah, I totally knew that, even when you actually didn't.
You've got it. By forcing yourself to write your own baseline understanding first, you expose the actual gaps in your knowledge. It breaks the illusion of competence.
That's step 1. What's step 2?
Step 2, now you prompt the AI. But you do not stop at the first good-sounding answer. You ask the AI at least 5 real questions using that what, why, how, when, and what if framework we just walked through.
You swing the crowbar. You force it to explain the actual mechanisms.
Step 3, keep asking questions and commanding it to refine its analogies until you can describe the underlying mechanism entirely in your own words. If you are just parroting the AI's vocabulary, you haven't understood it yet.
You have to translate it into your own brain's language. You have to build that reusable judgment.
Exactly.
And what's the final step?
Step 4, finish by writing a short 1-paragraph explanation of what the AI helped you understand. And this is the accountability piece list. What would still need human verification or documentation review before you could trust it completely in a production environment.
So what does this all mean for us moving forward? Let's recap the journey we've taken today. We are entirely reframing our relationship with artificial intelligence. We are shifting from treating it as an answer machine that we blindly copy from to a thinking partner that we actively lead and manage.
All right.
We learned how to dissect confident nonsense by understanding how next token predictors suffer from agreement bias, and how to break that bias by forcing the AI to show its mechanisms and argue against itself.
And we learned how to avoid getting bogged down by matching the depth of our questions to the actual stakes of the task.
It is entirely about moving from my job is to move fast to my job is to move fast and remain accountable. Because you don't need to perform 100% of the technical work yourself anymore, but you absolutely must have enough deep understanding to verify it, integrate it, and stand behind it when things get difficult.
And as a reminder, this entire framework, the mindset shifts, the crowbar techniques, the stakes matrix, it all comes directly from the curriculum over at Skill Wanderer.
We highly encourage you to go experience the full course for yourself. You can find it by heading to dojo.skill-wanderer.com/courses/ AI hyphen learning hyphen for hyphen tech hyphen careers.
And to dive into the specific lesson with the video, podcast, slides, and reading modules we explore today, look for the lesson titled AI as a Thinking Partner, Not a Tool, right there in the course path.
That's at dojo.skill-wanderer.com/courses/AI hyphen first hyphen learning hyphen for hyphen tech hyphen careers/lessons/A hyphen as hyphen thinking hyphen partner hyphen not having a hyphen tool.
As we wrap up, I want to leave you with one final, slightly provocative question to mull over, something that builds on everything we've discussed today about the nature of human expertise.
Yeah, let's hear it.
We've established that if AI can execute the work, your only remaining value in an organization is your judgment and your ability to verify its outputs. But what happens in 5 or 10 years when these models become so incredibly complex and interconnected that the only things capable of verifying AI outputs are other AI models?
Oh, wow. That is, yeah.
If the systems verifying the code are just as opaque as the systems writing the code, where does human accountability sit then? If you spend your days right now just mindlessly copy-pasting what the AI gives you because it's fast and easy, what happens to your career when your judgment muscles completely atrophy right before the moment we need human judgment the most?
It's a chilling thought. If you never build that reusable judgment today, eventually you aren't leading the AI is leading you.
Exactly.
And that brings us right back to that hill. You're flying downhill, the wind is in your hair, the speed is intoxicating. But if you never took the time to understand the mechanism, if you never learned how the brakes actually work, well, eventually the hill ends. See you next time on The Deep Dive.